Los Angeles, the entertainment capital of America, and, not coincidentally, my home. But the city has a problem. It has its dense parts like Maywood, Westlake, East Hollywood, and Koreatown. All the neighborhoods I mentioned also have a higher population density than Amsterdam, and that's not even counting downtown, with its new developments in South Park, making more housing units than any other downtown in the United States. But the city is car-centric as hell. Cycling, something I regularly do to get to school, is a nightmare, and the transit system is decent, actually, but it has its problems too. The LA Metro is corrupt as hell, and is shown with projects like the 405 and 605's widening projects and the monorail options for the project that can change the city to its core. The Sepulveda Pass Transit Project. Now, why are cars a problem? With over 4 million registered vehicles, daily traffic in Los Angeles can last for hours, causing frustration and wasting time for drivers. This traffic congestion also contributes to air pollution and increased carbon emissions, which cause the majority of air quality issues in Los Angeles. The smog produced by cars and trucks affects not only the health of people who live in the city, but also has a negative impact on the environment. Long-term exposure to air pollution has been linked to a number of serious health issues, including heart disease, stroke, respiratory problems, and, like me, asthma. Another downside of cars is the number of accidents that occur on the roads. In Los Angeles, there are thousands of car accidents each year, many of which result in serious injuries or fatalities. This not only affects drivers and passengers involved in the accidents, but it also takes a toll on the city's emergency services and healthcare system. On top of that, LA now has the highest mortality rate for pedestrians. LA's Vision Zero is not doing too well. So, what can be done to reduce the negative impact of cars in Los Angeles and other cities? One solution is to encourage the use of alternate modes of transportation, such as public transport, biking, and walking, like what I do to get to school on the A line with my bike in South Central LA. By reducing the number of cars on the road, we can improve air quality, reduce traffic congestion, and make the roads safer for everyone, including people on vehicles. One of the most notable examples of corruption in the Los Angeles metro system is the Sepulveda Pass monorail option. This proposed project would have destroyed the beating heart of the Los Angeles Metro, and would have had terrible consequences, which were covered in Nandit's video, which should pop up right now. But the short is that a number of politicians who are more interested in protecting their own interests than providing a better public transport system for their constituents can decide to take BYD's money and give us a subpar system that would be crowded and still have less of a use and ridership than the other options for a connector to the San Fernando Valley. Another one of the most notable examples of politicians denying street improvements for pedestrians and cyclists is the 6th Street Viaduct. This viaduct, which spans over the Los Angeles River, was originally designed as a car-only bridge, but it was rebuilt, and it was originally supposed to have fully separated bike lanes, but it was downgraded to a bicycle gutter with pylons that can easily be destroyed, and it's still not integrated into the city's transportation network. Despite the growing demand, the bike lanes just end at the end of the viaduct on the side of Boyle Heights. Then there's Metro's funding issues. Unfortunately, the corruption of the Los Angeles Metro system doesn't just end with the Sepulveda Pass monorail option. For years, politicians have been reluctant to invest in public transport, despite the fact that a better system is desperately needed in my city. As a result, the Metro system has become outdated and inefficient, leading to ridership falling sharply. On top of that, crime is starting to become a problem again, like in the 90s. Some trains are dirty and some stations are in less than desirable areas, but Metro doesn't do anything. In South LA, in the A line, there's quite a few areas near stations that are just empty lots next to warehouses and junkyards, like on Slauson Station. But because of the massive amount of demand that could be, stations like, again, Slauson still get decent ridership. Finally, there's the C line and Westlake Station on the DNB lines. The C line goes through really dense neighborhoods like Lakewood and Linwood, but it goes nowhere close to these potential riders, and it instead goes through the median of the I-105. And on the other side, in the fairly dense El Segundo and LAX areas, the metro stations are surrounded by parking lots. Just parking lots. Then at the end of the station, at Redondo Beach, there's a large shopping center next door, and the busy 40 bus line is on Hawthorne around a mile away. But none of those areas are easily connected. The 1X bus, which can take you to Hawthorne, is an hourly bus. And the shopping center is flipped from the train station, and it is facing away and has no entrances. The only thing decent is that Lawndale High School is not too far away. Finally, there is Westlake Station. Even though it resides in the densest neighborhoods in Los Angeles, with density not too far from Brooklyn in some areas, it is shit. The station is deteriorated and dirty, open drug use, and the area behind the small greenscape is just an open-air drug market. This really hurts potential riders because who would want to be in such an area just to get to work 30 to an hour later than you would in a car? This is even shown in Metro's own documents. That's why they're trying to rebuild the station. The document is in the description if you want to read it. And it really shows how bad the problem is at the station. Los Angeles, even with its car centricity, still has the bones of a great city, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video. It has its really dense neighborhoods like Westlake and, most importantly, Wilshire Boulevard. Wilshire can be seen from almost any part of the main city. It has density comparable to downtown with all the high-rises and office towers on the street headed to Santa Monica. It also has the busiest bus corridor in the United States, the 720 bus headed from Skid Row to Santa Monica. It also has a subway line under part of its route that ends in Koreatown, the densest neighborhood in all of Los Angeles. The subway line is also getting extended to UCLA and VA hospital areas. Then, in South LA, we got areas like Huntington Park, Maywood, Walnut Park, and Florence Firestone. All these areas are dense and have heavily trafficked bus lines and the busiest line on our transit system, the A line. The only area, from my experience in LA, that is completely unsavable is the South Bay. It is just a car-centric hell. 7-lane roads, massive surface parking lots. Finally, there's San Pedro and Long Beach. These two are probably the most walkable areas outside of the more northern areas of the city. Long Beach has its car-centric areas, but is easily won out by downtown Long Beach and the areas around it, car suburb. And San Pedro is dense, but still has a way to go as its downtown area is pretty dead and has some surface parking lots. And some of the areas on the main arterials are really bad, but the bones are there and it's quite dense. Now, that's all for today. Consider donating to my Patreon for some random stuff and also helping to pay for my PC. And now